Good morning, guys. Welcome to Dell's Rigging and Crane Tips. I hope you're all having a good Tuesday morning. Hopefully you guys are killing it. Hopefully you're the boss of your crane yard. You're walking around, you're giving out advice, you're helping out the guys who don't know much. And that's what you should do, man. You know, help guys who don't know much. You were there once. They're not going to take your job, man. If you're on a big crane, don't think that. They're not going to come up and sweep your job. I mean, if you're doing a good job and if you're helping out, man, karma will come back around and they'll give you it. And you'll keep your place and they'll recognise that. I mean, there's always a couple of thieves and a couple of backstabbers in the crane yard, but that's life. They get found out. People end up not liking them. They get found out pretty easy. So stay true to yourself. Help your teammates out. It's all good. Anyway, what I want to talk to you about today is driving Frannas. Look, man, you might start on one today. So this is for people who are just starting in the industry that want to drive a Franna. Just got 3 tips, and it's up to discussion. If any of you gurus out there have been driving Frannas for 10 years and stuff like that, please let me know in the comments. Feel free to comment on what you do to drive a Franna, but these are the tips. Now, these are just suggestions, man. Like, you don't have to listen to them. Don't apply them if you don't feel like they suit you. But I got told these by OGs of the game back in the Gold Coast, and they'd been driving for 20 years, and it really helped my performance in driving them in small lanes and on the highway and at fast paces. But the first one is just use one hand. It doesn't mean that your other hand is tied behind your back and you can't use the other hand. Maybe just have your other hand, underneath, ready to grab if you need it. But what happens in Frannas, since there's a pivot point in the middle, is if you use 2 hands and you're overcorrecting and you're jarring, the middle pivot's really sensitive. And what will happen is you'll be more likely to spin out of control and come off the road if you're rigid and you're overcorrecting and you're going like that. And so it's not a good way to drive them with your 2 hands rigidly and you're always moving them. What works and what's worked for me since I got that advice years ago, it's just one hand and you're just tapping it, correcting it. So it's just little shifts of the steering wheel, just a little shift there, little shift back, little correction. If you go over bumps, I kind of just let it go for a bit, because the Franna's quite good at just staying true. Like it'll stay true. If you go over a little bump or something and you don't touch the steering wheel, it will stay true, man. It will stay straight and it'll keep going. If you go over a bump and you panic and you turn the steering wheel to try and correct it or something, you're going to come off the road. It's just inevitable. So kind of relax on it, okay? One hand, tapping the steering wheel just to correct yourself. You're cruising. You can hold on to it and just make little adjustments, but that's it. Little nice adjustments. One hand. You can have your other hand underneath if you want to tap it with both. But that's a tip. Another tip is, if you don't know the road, if you haven't traveled the road before, I would suggest pulling your speed down. Like, I mean, if you're an old school Franna and you can do 90 k's an hour, bring it down to 80. If you're in these new ones and they're doing about 80 or whatever, just bring it down 10, man. What happened to me personally is, and why I follow this rule is, I used to be out country roads in central Queensland, and if you don't know the road, man, there's big, huge bumps, man. There's big up and down bumps. And I went over this road once that I never travelled, but I was flying, which I shouldn't have been, which I found out. And it was just before a bridge, so watch out for bridges, man. But the front wheels hit the bump, and then before they could come down, the back wheels hit it. And so the whole Franna's gone doosh, 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 doosh. And I got really freaked out. I overcorrected, I swiggled, and I just came off the road. But it was all safe. It was all good. Nothing happened. I just got a fright. But at that speed, and maybe if you hit a bump around the corner that you don't know because you don't know the road, you could be in big trouble. So what the tip is if you don't know the road, if you haven't travelled it before, bring the speed down a bit, man. You don't know about bumps in the road. I mean, people have driven that road before, they know about them, but you don't, and you could be in some serious strife if you go over a double banger and the crane comes off the road. You could go off a bridge. I think someone in the Gold Coast went off a bridge. Might have been the same thing. He might have hit something, overcorrected, boom, off the side. Anyway, and the third one is wear your seatbelt. I know cranies have got a thing in slew cranes. Sometimes I don't wear my seatbelt. I've been changing my views on that lately. You should be wearing your seatbelt. It's part of company policy in most big companies now. But wear your seatbelt. I had a good dear friend of mine in a Franna. He rolled a Franna over. He was wearing his seatbelt, and he said that's what saved him. I mean, he did go to hospital for a few weeks, but that saved him, man. And if you're in a Franna, if you're in a 25 or if you're in a 20, have a look around, man. There's nothing soft in that cab. There's nothing soft in that cab. Everything's metal. Everything's hard. If you don't have your seatbelt on, man, you're toast. And you don't know, I mean, you could come off, you could slip off, you could hit a bump, could be loose gravel, you don't know. But I suggest in Frannas, man, wear your seatbelt. Otherwise, you get smoked. Anyway, man, I hope that helps you newer operators. If you're a seasoned Franna driver, just comment in the comments below. Let me know what you think. If you've got another tip for these new guys starting out in Frannas for driving and what you do, let me know, man. Subscribe, like the button. And cheers, guys. Have a good Tuesday. Kill it.